Welcome back inside of the Dynasty Draft Room. This is the Draft Seminar, and today we are talking about Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. My name is Matt Hicks. You could find me on Twitter at the FF_educator, and I am joined by my colleague, John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar. John, how you feeling tonight, my man?
I'm doing very good considering everything that's going on in society, but I am psyched to talk about these prospects tonight.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it here with Jordan Love. Now, I will start things off and then toss it to you, but I'm just going to point out here that this is a polarizing prospect here at the quarterback position, a very high ceiling, John, but that does not come without some risks associated with it. So without further ado, I'll let you go ahead and jump into Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State.
Matt, first, it really has been a season of two campaigns, and they are very, very different. In 2018, he propelled up draft boards, and he looked like a future NFL starter, and I had him pretty high in my Devy rankings last summer. Yet in 2019, he had a very disappointing crusade as the surrounding talent tailed off significantly around him, and there was a change in the coaching staff. So there are some reasons for that dip in production. And you must examine both seasons to assess the risk-reward ratio of the Utah State product. In 2018, Matt, he established 5 single-season school passing records, touchdowns with 32, passing yards with 3,567, and 300-yard games with 7. But he had a significant drop-off in production, and it was noticeable when you watch the Aggies. He sometimes frustrated you as a scout and as a fan with some of the poor decisions he made. But at the end of his career, he holds 3 huge records: total offense, 3,003 yards, 300-yard games, 12, and completions of at least 80 yards with 4. He totaled 3 400-yard career games passing, and he posted a 21-12 record as a starter. Jordan Love, like you said, he's a polarizing prospect. Matt, what do you think of him?
Yeah, absolutely right, John. I mean, you look at the 2018 season and you saw his ceiling, you saw the 2019 season, and you saw his floor. I'll take a second here to point out, because when we do our film breakdown, which we always do on prospects, we focus on the positive aspects of his game. And I will just, before you go ahead and jump into his stats, you're going to talk about interceptions, and that's the biggest thing for me. You know, he's got the raw traits, he's got the big arm, and he's got a decent foundation of mechanics. But when it comes to his ability to read the field, it seems like he almost enjoys finding triple coverage just as much as he enjoys finding the open man. He locks into pre-snap reads, and I think he's really struggling with the mental part of the game at this point. Now, those are things that can be adjusted and improved on with a good coaching situation in the NFL, but it's going to take time. So that's kind of my general introduction to him. I think, you know, if he can land in a spot where he has time to develop and be coached up, then that's fantastic. That's not something that we always find in today's NFL. There's that pressure to start right away. But John, why don't you go ahead and, from your perspective, looking at his production in college and those benchmarks that you look for a quarterback to hit to get to the next level, does Jordan Love hit those benchmarks, or are there red flags there for you as well?
Oh, Matt, he is loaded with red flags. When I sat down in January and I'm looking at his numbers, he only hits one of my 5 benchmarks that I like quarterbacks to achieve throughout their career. And that one benchmark is games played. He had 38 games for the Aggies. But passing efficiency, he was only 137.9. Completion percentage, 61.2. Yards per attempt, 7.6. And you alluded to it, his interceptions. His touchdown to interception ratio was rather poor at 60-29. You're only looking at basically a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So that is very concerning to me. Now, on a brighter note, he does have athletic ability, and I've discussed escapability score throughout this series so far, Matt. And when you watch Jordan Love, he's very effective in the pocket with his legs, and he can avoid pass rushers and gain valuable first downs. His career rushing yards are 403, and I gave him a B plus for escapability score. I'm not as bullish on Jordan Love as others. I have a second round grade on him. I see the upside and why some teams might covet him, but I have my reservations, Matt. Why don't we go to the film room?
Absolutely, John. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the film here on Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. And it's important to point out that although we have reservations, his tape looks great at times. He has a Pro Bowl caliber arm. You can see here, he is chucking this ball 55 yards, and he leads his defender very well on a real deep post route there. You can see that arm strength. It's game-changing potential here, and that's one of the things that catches the eye of NFL scouts and GMs. We're going to slow it down here, and you can see, he's got a good foundation of mechanics. He's light on his feet. He gets this ball out. The release is a little long, but he's able to get the ball out, and it looks natural. He's not forcing the ball. He's not pushing the ball. He's just using that arm strength. And here on this next play against Colorado State, you can see this. He leads his receiver perfectly downfield. That touch on the ball is something we wish we could see more consistently. And he is actually pretty accurate in the short field. Now, he's inconsistent in the deep field with his accuracy, but running short routes, drags, comebacks, curls, you can see that he's able to process. Look, on this play, it's his second read. He can usually get to that second read. He has trouble past that. So there's a lot of upside that goes along with Jordan Love's game, that foundation of mechanics. But like we said, there is the caveats that have to go along with it, and that's the film breakdown there for Jordan Love, the quarterback at Utah State. John, anything to add to that?
Absolutely, Matt. The first thing you notice is what you mentioned right away. His quick release and archetype arm strength. It can be mesmerizing when you watch him throw the football. He is great at it. He also has ideal size at 6'3" and 225 pounds. You're talking about a big man with athletic ability. He's a natural thrower with touch and timing. He sets up fluidly and smoothly. I just like watching him throw the football. Now, he's accurately passes the ball on the run, and he can squeeze the ball into tight spaces. He remains composed under pressure with eyes focused downfield. One of the benefits of having a poor team around him, he had to remain composed more often than he did the previous season. So I think he gained some valuable experience there. He extends plays with his legs. But Matt, some of the things that you mentioned are red flags to me. He lacks pinpoint accuracy, and he makes poor decisions sporadically. He relies on his deep vertical throws, even when coverage dictates to go elsewhere. He likes his arm, and he expects his receivers to make plays down the field. I think he takes too many unwarranted hits, and he takes a lot of sacks. He waits too long in the pocket. He needs to speed up his internal clock, get the ball out of his hands. He also appears to predetermine where he's going to go with the football. Matt, I like him. If you told me he was a second-round pick, I'd be ecstatic with it. But I do believe a team is going to reach for him in the first round, and I would disagree with that assessment of Jordan Love.
Yeah, John, I think you said it absolutely perfectly there, both his upside and his risks. I will say he's the type of guy, a coach who believes in himself wants to get his hands on, right? That's the way NFL coaches work, and there's going to be a guy who thinks he's a quarterback guru, whether he is or isn't, and I agree. I think we might see Jordan Love go in the first round. I feel more comfortable with him in day 2 as well. Here at the Dynasty Draft Room, we have him graded out at 76.2. That puts him with a fantasy football projection of a rotational player for us. So that is a mid-category, and that's because we think it's going to take time for him to earn a starting job in the NFL and be successful. But still, he has that high upside, and that is still, that's a solid grade for us. Still, it's not as high as some of the other quarterback prospects we talked about, but he does have serious potential to be a fantasy football impact player, especially if he gets the coaching that he needs to improve the mental side of the game, which is really where we both see his biggest weakness. John, I think that's a really good breakdown here of Jordan Love. I want to make sure everybody knows that they can find your fantasy football rookie profiles at footballdiehards.com. you can check out all of our rookie work, including the 2020 Fantasy Football Rookie Guide at dynastydraftroom.com. Pencils down, class is